The Greige epidemic is the viral spread of the color greige. What is greige? Well, it's a combination of both gray and beige. We just combine the names of two colors like Tumblr shipping a couple. Think Ferrard for Gerard Way and Frankie Arrow, or Dilf for Dan and Phil. Greige is everywhere today, from the clothes we wear to the oversized scratchy couches you can find in any sweet green enjoyer's home. Lately though, it seems like people have been getting tired of this offensively inoffensive color, and like Britain in 1776, it seems to be losing its power over the American people. So grab your PSL and Greige DSI and let's explore what the Greige epidemic is, why it seems to be happening, and if it's going to be around much longer. I do want to clarify right off the bat, the Greige epidemic is bigger than just the spread of greige. It's the death of color overall, and typically, greige was the one to come in and fill that colorless hole. We also saw a lot of gray, black, or white fill that hole too. Lots of nasty joke opportunities that I cannot take because my family watches these videos now. Now that you know the definition, let's explore the symptoms of this epidemic. First and foremost, it hit interiors. Since the mid-2010s, all white women care about is making their homes look like this. Wait, this looks familiar. Now I gotta ask you a little bit of a personal question. Is there anything more fulfilling than blending into your own furniture? I didn't think so either, which is why this trend extended into clothing as well. If you don't look nude, what's the point? While women's fashion went hard into greige and beige with stores looking like this to this day, men's fashion decided to ditch color altogether for a little while there. I remember how hard it was to find any color in clothes in high school, and as someone who was obsessed with Vaporwave and Seinfeld at the time, this was torture. Sure, ISIS was on the rise, but why wasn't anyone concerned about all my clothes having to be gray for a little while? No one cared about me. Can we think of the teenage boys for once? Not in that way. While we're still on the topic of fashion, I gotta mention the fall girls. I can't move on without talking about the fall girls. Every autumn, these queens of greige infest every store with nothing but this comfy ass pumpkin spice fart vibe. Seriously, you know these women consume so much pumpkin spice that their farts smell like a Bath and Body Works candle. I will say that fall is the exception. That's when greige is acceptable in my book. Okay, now I gotta get the male audience back. Cars. Yeah, look at that. Look at that engine. God, I love spark plugs and exhaust pipes. I want to put let's put our junks in there. Who's with me? Car options are like a newspaper, blue, black, and red all over. And more gray than you could ask for. At least beige looks kind of cool on cars, but come on, the number of gray, black, or white cars is exhausting. The death of color hit cars hard. These don't count as colors. These are ugly. Every base trim comes with these two colors or no color at all. While we're on the topic of greige, let me tell you about an easy way to work some color into your outfit. Belts. You know those things that keep your pants from falling down your ankles? You can make those things fun, or if you're not into that, you can make them so much more convenient with today's sponsor, Anson Belt and Buckle. Seriously, I've been wearing my Anson belts every day for a while now, and they've changed the game for me. Grabbing a belt to match whatever I want to wear is a breeze now. I choose whichever color fits my outfit, then I just throw that thing around my waist and tighten to size. No longer do two of my belt holes have to debate for who gets chosen today, depending on whether or not I have a belly full of 22 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That's because instead of those annoying holes, Anson uses a micro-adjustable track system with quarter-inch increments so your belt fits perfectly every single time. And for my frequent peers, this thing is so easy to whip on and off. I really didn't think a belt can make my life so much easier, but I haven't even considered touching a regular one since I made the switch. You can also mix and match any buckle with any strap, so you'll always have a belt that matches your outfit without having to buy a million belts that clutter up your space. Anson makes great belts. They have over 40,000 5-star reviews, and each belt is backed with a lifetime guarantee on functionality. Here's the scoop. Anson Belt and Buckle is sponsoring today's video, so when you click the link below or scan the QR code on screen to build a box set, you'll get 2 bonus pieces, a buckle and a strap, completely free. Can someone run the math on that? That's 3 buckles and 3 straps, which can be mixed and matched into 9 unique combos, all in one box. If you're still sitting on the fence about it, at least look good while you're up there in an Anson belt. Thank you to Anson for sponsoring this video. Another industry hit hard by the death of color is technology, where we also didn't see very much greige. It was more gray. Just more gray on everything. Technology went the way of an aging clown. Let's dive into this one a little bit because tech is a very broad term, starting with phones. Phone manufacturers like Apple, Samsung, and Google do offer different colors, but first of all, they're muted as shit, and second of all, your case covers the color. What is the point? It's a heartbreaking departure from what we had before, and we see the same tragedy hit the video game industry as well. Sony's always been kinda lame, except on special occasions, and Xbox has come to hide its green branding like it's a festering green sore. However, Nintendo is the one that truly truly took the Greige pill. Since the late 2010s, they've been opting for more muted and washed colors on their consoles. Not to get political or anything, but in the 90s and 2000s, they had a lot of color options. The Game Boy Color came in more colors than it displayed. The N64 boasted several vibrant translucent shells, and I would kill a deer for the orange GameCube. Depending on where you're from, that could be a really big deal. Call me a diaper baby with sleeper biceps, but I cannot stomach what Nintendo did with the Switch 2. I mean, not only does it look the same as the Switch 1, but its Joy-Cons only come in this rancid gray color with no other alternatives. Not to get political, but this is ugly as shit. So as you can see, the Greige epidemic was more than just this specific color tainting suburban homes. It was a movement away from color altogether across every industry possible. Architecture, retail interior design, product design, graphic design, and everything else I mentioned. It seemed everyone wanted to ditch color and embrace a neutral future where no one has a favorite color anymore. Have you checked in on the people you love? Have you asked them what their favorite color is lately? But why did this happen, and how did it reach every single industry? While there was an overarching cause here, I first want to pick apart each industry's specific reasons, starting with cars. Neutral colors are easier to resell. That's basically it. An inoffensive gray has wider appeal than Pikachu yellow, and it has the added bonus of it don't look dirty even if it is. With tech, however, specifically video games, it was more about customer perception. Back in the day, gaming was seen as a baby hobby, even more so than today. Nintendo has always gone after the younger demographic, and they understand that attracting kids means making your products colorful and giving Mario some little pepperonis. Kids don't like those XL Nick Jonas-sized nips. Gaming's audience has grown quite a bit since the 2000s, both in age and size and audience size. Nintendo has to make their new consoles look adult friendly, especially when they're being sold at a premium. So now you can play your baby games on your big boy Nintendo Switch in public without worrying about looking like a creep. When it comes to the other side of tech, the industry was recovering from a funky multi-decade bender where this was normal. Brands like Apple and Samsung ushered in this idea that minimalism was luxurious. They, along with the rest of the industry, adopted neutral, muted colors as the new luxury. But minimalism wasn't just spreading in tech. Minimal interior design exploded around this time, and with HGTV and social media, this trend was able to spread its seed further than any other trend before it. This didn't just appear out of nowhere though. It coincided with tech suddenly being everywhere. As our lives became more busy with digital noise and stimulation, we tried turning our physical spaces into an escape from all this noise. Greige served as a comforting color to our homes. Not too warm, not too cold, just cozy and versatile enough to be beaten to death. But I've been avoiding our big topic here, fashion and clothing. This industry is special. It's very different than the other ones I've talked about because fashion is closely tied to our identities. Its trends move much quicker, and Adam Sandler is absolutely killing it in this field. Basically, every reason I've given for Greige spreading into an industry also applies here, from it being viewed as luxurious to it being part of the minimalism trend. However, there's a deeper reason for its spread in fashion, and it has to do with that identity aspect. Following shared hardships and tragedies, we often see a shift in our culture. Through fashion specifically, we see people dress more not like Little Bill. We see this happen time and time again. After 9/11, after the 2008 recession, after the release of Food Fight, and now after COVID. Whether consciously or not, muted colors came back in a big way after COVID. The Greige epidemic was not only fueled by a somber outlook on life following a global pandemic, but it was also a reaction to the quickly spreading clashing color trend that was ramping up at the turn of the decade. I don't know if you guys remember, but right before the pandemic went into full swing, color was coming back aggressively in fashion. Maybe a bit too aggressively. We had to be locked away before this went too far. So you have people shifting away from individuality following a global hardship, which we've seen before, and a bit of a bounce back from an aggressive trend, which we've also seen before, all to blame for Greige taking over fashion. But we can't discount all the other things that were happening in the world at the time. The first non-depressing factor is the shift towards more sustainable clothing. Brands have been choosing to use undyed or minimally processed fabrics to make clothing more sustainable, and this is a direct reaction to customers trying to shop more sustainably in recent years. Greige is also huge in activewear, which has been priced like luxury clothing for a little while now. I don't understand why. Activewear also needs to be neutral to sneakily normalize itself. You can't make something look like 80s activewear if you want it to be an everyday item. So as you can see, Greige didn't just come up and infect everything out of nowhere. It was a our culture trying to calm itself from the overstimulating technology, global tragedies, and the craziness of previous trends across design. Now let's try to figure out if this epidemic is truly over. I went out into the real world to answer the question, is the Greige epidemic truly over? And the answer was not so clear-cut. The first thing I noticed is that it really depends on what store you go to, but there are definitely a lot more colorful options now. The men's section was almost exclusively muted darker colors, with stores like Hollister almost having no actual color options available. I forget what this girly store was called, but it sure didn't have much Greige. It did have these cool metal balls that made me look like this, so that was cool. Also, don't mind this diva who just got a cute halter top from Addicted. At Cotton On and the other trendy places, it was more of the same, but it's also important to note that I did go here during the fall clothing season. This is probably why Target's furniture section was so painfully Greige. Speaking of Target, their women's section was also painfully Greige. For the men's section, it was mostly like my experience at Old Navy. Lots of muted colors, but with some fun and bright options scattered about. The indie girl section of Target had every color available though, so that was pretty cool. And this was kind of the trend overall. Things made for a younger adult audience was a lot more colorful, but things made for older people obviously didn't have as much color. I will say though, that is much different than my experience previously. I remember just a few years ago, it was pretty hard to find any colorful clothes at all. So for clothing, yes, I definitely think Greige is on its way out, or at least has lost some of its power. Now, a few weeks ago, I made a video about IKEA, and a big point I made is that they have a lot of fun colors to choose from. It's kind of their thing. I'll admit though, as an IKEA head, this is a recent development. They had a strange phase for a little while there where they were strictly black, white, and like this pale beige behind me, which has honestly gotten a little bit darker with time. Today, that is no longer the case though. They have a lot of different colors for everything you might want. For tech, we kind of haven't seen much change. The iPhone color that they decided to plaster everywhere is poop brown. I mean, it's better than Greige, but this... not much. This is a poop. Samsung, Apple, and Google go back and forth on this. I've noticed every few generations, they'll do something kind of fun with their colors. I will admit that Apple relaunching the matte colors is awesome, and I would love to see more of this. And finally, with cars, I don't see specifically gray ever going away, unfortunately. I'd love for our traffic to look like this again, but Tesla has kind of been the design leader, and they do nothing interesting with color. They'll do some interesting stuff with the PS2 car, but it only comes in gray. Wraps have also become more prominent, and I think those are like a cheaper way to recolor your car. So maybe I actually haven't seen them in a while, but that could have been a cool way to recolor your car whenever you wanted. So is the Greige epidemic over? Honestly, no, but it is. Okay, that was kind of rude. No, the Greige epidemic or death of color isn't completely over, but I do think it's on its way out. A quick visit to the mall proved that color is kind of coming back. Ignore the graphic on the shirt. I'm just trying to show you the color. And seeing things like this during the fall season shows that color might actually be sticking around for good. For tech and cars, I don't know, man. I've made plenty of videos talking about why these industries are so boring, but I don't understand why companies keep holding on to this sterile look. I don't know. More and more people are getting over this bland look, so I'm sure we'll see changes soon. Right? Can Silicon Bros stop having the worst takes and the worst taste? Can you guys fix like the human part of your brain? Can you get that working? Oh my god, there's so much sunlight on me. I think the trend I noticed across all of these industries is that maybe Greige isn't being phased out completely, but it's not the only option anymore. We're seeing color come back to many of these industries, except shopping centers. I've seen so many shopping centers around here go from having cool earthy tones or just something that was kind of themed into white or gray. It is so goddamn ugly. They'll keep the same shingles on the roof, which are like mission style, but then they'll make it all modern everywhere else. Hopefully I could find a picture to show you guys. You can combine traditional and modern, but this is not how you do it. This is so ugly, it might radicalize me. I think color is coming back because individuality is on the rise. For a while, it was just cringe to like anything. It was just cringe to be yourself. People are ready to enjoy the colors of life again, even though things keep not being great, but you got to make the most of it. On that note, take a break from social media, dude. It is literally nothing but a rage bait and an echo chamber. Chondle that subscribe button for weekly videos if you liked what you saw. If you do have an okay relationship with social media, you can follow me on TikTok, or Instagram. Also, check out the cool stuff that I make on the Chon store. Maybe I'll put up some Greige stuff to celebrate fall. Also, comment your favorite color. What is your favorite color? Don't do like don't say like indigo or one of those like pretentious color. Viridian, cerulean. I just know those from Pokemon. Also, make sure you check out Anson through the link below or the QR code on screen to get the belt that will change your life. And thank you so much for watching.